You ever have a night that starts out like every other, just you, the storm, and the ghosts you made your peace with, and suddenly you're dragged right back into the world you tried so damn hard to forget? Yeah, that's where I was, hunkered down by the fire, talking to myself and the horses, just trying to keep my hands busy and my mind quiet. 8 years of solitude, and I'd started to believe maybe I could ride it out until the end. But you know how it goes, fate doesn't knock, it hammers. That night, it hammered hard enough to rattle my bones. The rain sounded like God himself was tossing nails at my roof, making every instinct I had scream, stay inside. That's when I heard the knocking. Not friendly, not neighborly, this was desperation knocking, the kind that comes with more to lose than hope left. I stood up slow, heart beating loud enough to drown out the wind. See, nobody comes to my place, not anymore, and especially not at night during a storm like that. But the voices came, muffled through the door, speaking Apache. That language, man, it hit me right in the scars. Last time I'd heard it was before I buried my wife and little girl. Last time strangers needed help, it cost me everything. My hand found a rifle above the mantel, just muscle memory, but even with every ghost screaming at me to keep that door shut, something was different. The voices weren't Angrino threats. No war whoops, just fear and exhaustion. A woman's voice, English thick with accent but strong as any I'd ever heard. Please, we know you are there. We need shelter just for tonight. You know what I mean? That sort of voice that makes you want to believe again, even after the world's done nothing but teach you not to. So I pressed my palm to the door, feeling those words vibrate right through the wood. My instincts were screaming danger, but not from these women, from whatever was chasing them out there in the dark, desperate enough to send them begging to a stranger's door. And hell, maybe my late wife, Sarah, was still whispering in my ear, telling me not to let the world turn me into a stone. But she was gone, and the last time I listened to kindness, I dug 2 graves by sunrise. Then the woman said, voice tight as a snare, "They are coming. If you do not help us, we will die out here, and when they find our bodies at your gate, you will die too." And there was a moment. The point where a man either stays dead to the world or comes back fighting, whether he wants to or not. 8 years behind that locked door, but I slid back the bar, every muscle screaming, and opened it up. 10 Apache women on my porch, rain-soaked, dresses torn, faces smeared with blood and mud. Youngest couldn't have been more than 16, clutching a near-lifeless baby. Oldest had silver in her hair and more war in her eyes than I ever saw in mine. But the one who spoke was Ian stood apart, blood trailing from her brow, chin lifted, eyes daring me to say no. She didn't waste time. We had been running for 3 days, and I could see it in every shiver, every wound. Didn't even have the heart to ask why yet. Not until Ayana told me, as the last through the door, the soldiers who hunt us, they're not far behind. Maybe an hour. They won't stop until we're all dead. And the way she said it, like she'd seen it before, like it was only a matter of time, made me realize what I'd just stepped into. So I asked, why? And she looked me in the eyes and said, because we chose to live. Because we fought back when they burned our village. Because one of their officers will not see morning if we live to tell what he did to my sister. That cold feeling in my gut reminded me of men I'd seen in uniform who'd forgotten what honor meant, who only remembered the taste of power. How many are coming? I asked. 8, maybe 10, she said, led by Captain Morrison. He hunts Apache, calls us hostile, but his real enemy is anyone who can tell what kind of man he is. That told me everything. So I told them about the cellar, a stone hideaway under the kitchen. Ayana just shook her head. If they find us, you die with us. We will not make you an enemy of the United States Army. And I just laughed. 8 years too late for that, lady. I became their enemy when I survived what they did to my family. The rain let up a little, but that just meant the cover was slipping away. I could hear horses in the mud, men talking low, making ready. I grabbed my rifle, checked the sights, and that's when I noticed these women weren't huddled victims anymore. Ayana stood tall, knife glinting in her hand, the others ready, weapons drawn from beneath their clothes. You are not helpless, I said, and Ayana just looked at me hard. We never were. Sometimes it is better to let men think what they wish. Captain Morrison is about to learn otherwise. So the stage was set. Horses closing in, soldiers thinking they'd find scared women, and one old rancher. Truth was, I've been turning this place into a fortress ever since my family was killed. And these weren't refugees. They were a war party. How many men have you killed? I asked Ayanna, just to be sure. Enough, she said. Enough to know we're underestimated. And that's their mistake. Outside, the voices grew clearer. Men calling out, moving into position, and the night grew thick with the promise of violence. Ayanna shook her head at my suggestion to hide. We run, they hunt us forever. We hide, they find us. If we end this tonight, the hunting stops. For the first time in years, I felt that cold, clear, focused feeling you get when there's no way out but through. What do you need from me? I asked. Ayanna smiled, sharp as her blade. When Morrison finds a white rancher fighting beside Apache women, his men will hesitate. That will cost them. Just then, heavy boots splashed through the mud someone right outside the house. In minutes, it would be on. Ayanna handed me a mirror. When you see the signal, take Morrison. We'll handle the rest. And just as I tucked it into my pocket, a young soldier's voice piped up nervous, not yet a killer. Captain, maybe we should just search and move on. Morrison just laughed, ugly and mean. We do this by the book. My book. That's when the safeties clicked off. Choices had to be made. And I'll ask you know if you were me, would you open that door and try to negotiate or trust these women who'd made my house their last stand? Because what I chose changed everything. Morrison blew in the front door, rifle first, expecting rabbits. Instead, he found a wolf with a gun pointed at his heart. In that moment of confusion, Ayanna's mirror flashed, the signal flew, and hell broke loose. Knives flashed, guns thundered, and the sounds that followed weren't the sounds of mercy. Ayanna took Morrison herself. This is for my sister, her blade doing what no court ever would. Morrison's hands went slack, rifle dropped, justice served up close. But then more horses. Torches on the horizon. The main force, not just a hunting party and army, was coming. Ayanna's women regrouped, 2 down, but the rest ready. 15, maybe 20 riders, came the grim report. We needed a miracle or a massacre. The dam, I said me ranch sits atop the valley, and if we blew it, the floodwaters would wipe out anything below. But just as we were about to set the charges, a baby cried another baby, not ours, out in the storm. Maybe a trick, but I knew real fear when I heard it. One of Morrison's men had brought his own kid to a murder hunt. Couldn't drown them, couldn't become that monster. There's another way, I said, and laid out the plan noise at the front, sneak out the back, grab the baby, break the army in half. Set traps, fight dirty, fight smart. Sometimes the only choice is between bad and worse. The battle that followed was chaos bullets, rain, screaming horses, mud flying everywhere. I found the cook, Mary, terrified but alive, her baby clutched to her chest. Got her running for safety while Ayanna's women handled the guards. We won that skirmish, but then the real boss showed up, Colonel Bradley, full company in tow, demanding we surrender or burn. Ayanna, fierce as ever, grabbed Bradley's own son 19, same age as Mary, same as the girls Morrison had killed. A hostage, but Maury a witness. He's guilty by association, Ayanna spat. His testimony could destroy his father's lies, I argued. Before we could decide, new riders arrived, federal marshals, real law, come to settle what the army couldn't hide anymore. Lieutenant Bradley, white with fear, chose truth. His confession broke everything open, exposed Morrison, destroyed Colonel Bradley's career, and earned protection for the women who'd lost everything. Dawn came, gold and bloody, painting my ruined ranch with light that felt almost like forgiveness. Ayanna and her people headed north, Mary to Denver, and May wasn't a hermit anymore. Maybe I'd head west, find work, find meaning, maybe find my soul again. As the sun rose, we rode in different directions, each of us alive, changed, human again. The kind of night you don't forget. The kind of story that makes you wonder, when it's your turn, do you stay safe or do you stay human? So now, If you've listened this far, tell me, where do you draw the line? What would you have done? Comment below, because sometimes the hardest choice is the only one that matters. And if you want another story that'll twist your heart, click that next video. Trust me, it's worth it.